Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault Gaming video. Xvault here, and yes, today we got your dose of the salty batch files, of course, and right out the gate here, we do have some nonsense coming out, and this is not only regards to Xbox fanboys, but Xbox fanboys who happen to have a very large following and are considered journalists in the outlet and industry, so we got a lot to go over, folks. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I was saying, what we're going to do is go over this nonsense that's, of course, the latest narrative that the Xbox fanboyism has been basing itself around as of lately as to why Black Myth Wukong has not been available on the Xbox consoles, the latest Xbox consoles. And, we're going to be shifting around a little bit here because I got a lot of examples here. And what happens in the industry when you do have somebody with a large following, such as Paul Tassi, who our prime spotlight is going to be on here today, in regards to what they run with when they hear stuff and they don't care. They don't want to back it up with much and so on and so forth. But let's get the first example here. It's going to show a little bit of the similarities in regards to Paul Tassi's comment, but we'll start off with our great big blocking friend here, Jez Cordon, the official journalist. Return to blogger, return to journalist, return to blogger. We don't know what he wants to call himself anymore, but here we have it. I'm sure I'll get apologies. Now, this is in regards to Paul Tassi's tweet that started off this whole fire, right? Because they've been wondering what's been going on, why Black Myth Wukong has not been available on the Xbox console. So he states, a source with knowledge of the situation has told me that Black Myth Wukong is not currently on Xbox because of an exclusivity deal and is not delayed because of any sort of technical issue. Again, as I mentioned in my last videos last week, I did mention the latest that I've heard through reputable sources that are not like Paul Tassi, who has a very bad record, as well as some other folks that we're going to be mentioning on top of Jez Cordon. And it's insane. I mean, the thing we have to pull back from, folks, first of all, is that Sony doesn't hide any sort of an exclusivity deal. They'll market it, they'll do something, just like Stellar Blade, just like Helldivers, just like Rise of the Ronin. Any sort of partnership or any sort of timed exclusivity, they market it. Final Fantasy 16, Remake, Rebirth, it doesn't matter who the publishers and devs and companies are, they will market it. That should be the first, most common sense type of aspect we should look for. But again, Jez also backing up here, Jez saying, I'm sure I'll get apologies. You ain't getting nothing. You don't get apologies worth nothing. So we'll move on from that part there, but I did want to give this one a quick highlight as that's what started off with Paul Tassi's, of course, rumor, and that he feels good about it essentially. So as we continue to go on here, I just want to show a couple headlines before we get to the other posts here. Black Myth Wukong. Now, again, by Cat Bailey here, Xbox delayed due to Sony exclusivity deal, not tech issues, according to a source. Again, this site, we know where they're from. They just run with whatever. Anything to get the clicks, they run with that as well. This has not been proven to be true. So we get these rumor mills running amok. You have these media outlets, you have these anti-Sony folks, which IGN's all over the place, but more so with Paul Tassi. He doesn't hide his fanboyism or middle-of-the-road kind of consensus, really, right? So, as we continue to go on to that article, though, the rumors of a tech issue were fueled in part by Baldur's Gate 3's Xbox saga in 2023, which saw the Xbox version delayed until December due to difficulties optimizing for Xbox Series S. And then going down, the rumors were given further credence by the fact that Black Myth Wukong is a technical monster, with a review noting that its fidelity was enough to even make a top-end rig with an RTX 4090 sweat. Game Science has apologized for any tech problems players have encountered today, released a 1.6 gigabit patch with various fixes and adjustments. So, again, why would Game Science be lying on top of everything else, right? I put out the specifics of how Sony's pretty upfront with their exclusivity deals, their timed deals, stuff like that, but you're also trying to state Paul Tassi and company that Game Science themselves are lying for some sort of weird reason. It shouldn't be anything to lie about. Exclusives happen. In fact, they make the world go round. And again, like I mentioned in past videos, I think they're needed for the ecosystems to give you that flavor, to give that need of ownership, to give that quality. You know, the list goes on and on. However, not only that, folks, we keep going on here. As we keep going on here, we have Special Nick getting involved. Now, his track record is not very good as well, but on top of that, he states here, of course, that's not what I heard. I heard there was a misunderstanding around this stuff. I heard Sony only paid to help get the port done, no exclusivity. That is also what I've heard from reputable sources, so that shouldn't be an issue. But again, he kind of takes that Paul Tassi deal and at least states that. But again, Special Nick also was off the rails here not too long ago, stating other things that did not happen and will not happen. Look in the past videos for that so I don't rebuttal all that in this video. But it's crazy, right? So he even states that it goes against Paul Tassi, which again, I'm surprised because Special Nick is also a pretty big Xbox fanboy and likes to kind of twist the truth a little bit. But as we continue to go on, we get Flat Earthers, yes, Post Up here. Like I said, Post Up runs with it immediately, doesn't do any actual digging, believes Paul Tassi because they're both Xbox fanboys and birds of a feather, right? Sony did money, had it, typical. Again, runs with it. He has a pretty large following on social media, folks, so again, runs with it. And what is the theme of everything in every video in the Salty Batch Files? That's right, the salt. Upset at Sony, upset at the success, upset at the games that they get, instead of holding the ecosystem and corporations that they do shill for every day accountable. They don't do that. Instead, they want to be salty and start all these rumors, run with it, just believe whatever, and continue to harm their own ecosystem when they do this and spread misinformation. Anybody with a normal brain is going to see this crap. So, it's just absolutely crazy. No thought processes behind them whatsoever. But then, we're not done. Paul Tassi has to backtrack a little bit here, so we'll take a look here. Based on what they're saying, it seems possible a temp exclusivity deal was done for paying to get a port done on PS side without paying for a traditional marketing deal. Clearly, marketing is not involved, specifically told it's not a tech issue for Xbox causing delay. Again, you're trying to backtrack while not backtracking, yet backtracking. Does that make sense? Do you follow? Do we follow? I know that's confusing, but it's this back and forth. It's more jargon, right? He comes across and tries to kind of cover every aspect to make sure that he has that credibility. Well, I didn't necessarily say this, but I did say that, but that doesn't necessarily mean, you see how they're going to come back and do this stuff. It's kind of crazy, but I'm glad Error 404 World Eater here, the Michael Pachter of gaming journalism, yet again is wrong with a mind explosion emoji, and he's right here. Yet again, he's trying to slither his snake ass out of his own BS. Sony has a secret exclusivity deal. Now, well, yeah, it's super weird. Maybe it's something. Be embarrassed, right? And he should be embarrassed. And then he can't, and this is what I called out on social media as well. I called out the fact that, he's going to cry and claim victim mentality. And later on he did. I didn't want to grab all those screens, but believe me, you can go on his page unless he removed them recently. But essentially, he's just sitting there crying. It hasn't been a great day. I've had a bad day now. Well, don't spread FUD. Don't spread misinformation because people will hold you accountable, like myself. It's super simple. I know you want clicks. I know it generates revenue. I know it generates buzz. But you spread misinformation and you do hurt your credibility. And eventually those that are not in a cult-like status in their mind are going to call out the BS and write you off. I don't care how big of a following you have. That's just the facts. Man, okay. And then, of course, we get some more stuff, people running with it, right? More running with it. So we go back to Jez here. Quotes, this. He's all like freaking out here. Even if this specific example of Black Myth wasn't true, Sea of Thieves, etc. revenue is helping Sony keep games off Xbox. So he's running with that. Well, if it's not that, this. So Pale Blue Pixel mentioned, okay, absolutely baffling that Microsoft is porting their IP to a company that continues to pay to keep third-party content off Xbox. This wouldn't have changed if Xbox was not porting their first-party games over to PlayStation or elsewhere. This wouldn't change. The ecosystem, as I've explained in multiple videos, and I have to say this over and over again, the Xbox fan base is not buying their games, and they're attributed to and conditioned to buying Game Pass so they can rent those games, subscribing to Game Pass to rent those games, and you're not seeing the software sales. Folks, they need those software sales, and this is the result of that. But again, he continues on here. Although this is also true from Alex White, and Xbox gets funds from PS to keep buying entire companies like Activision Blizzard, LMAO. Yeah, they get some funds, so pick a lane and stay in it, or whatever the case is. But nothing's going to change here. Nothing is going to change. And just real quick, we're going to shift from that here. I just want to mention also Jeff Grubb, even though, again, he is also not always right. He does hit the right nodes here and there, so take it with a grain of salt as well. But he states that there's no PS5 exclusivity deal for Black Myth Wukong. So from the most recent episode of Game Mess Decides podcast, he does say that one of his sources, and they told him that there is no PS5 console exclusivity deal in place for Black Myth Wukong. No duh. No duh. I mean, again, it's common sense, folks. I don't work for Sony, I don't work for Xbox, I don't work for Nintendo, I don't work for some sort of insider company. I am using my common sense. I've been following gaming for most of my life, right? And it's if you take a step back, you ask the simple questions without latching on to misinformation, that's what we have, right? We have the fact that Sony doesn't shy away from exclusivities. It's never been a secret. It's not some sort of shady handshake behind the scenes that's making this happen. Yes, if you do get help, creating a game or releasing funds and stuff, you can get some benefits for sure. But it always comes down to the architecture of the systems itself. And we all know and have heard as of years at this point that the Series S is holding, in fact, everything back. Look at Stalker 2 in the frames it recently has been announced, right? It's talking about lucky to hit 25 frames per second on the Series S. That is a huge deal. And like this article shows, right? Avowed runs at 30 frames per second on the Xbox X and S, Obsidian confirmed. Hellblade 2 confirmed to run at 30 frames per second, no performance mode available. And again, Stalker 2 currently runs at 25 frames per second on Series S, but Xbox is helping with optimizations, and hopefully that will change as time goes on. Absolutely insane. So, and of course, in regards to this whole Black Myth Wukong stuff, of course, Microsoft, they end up replying their boilerplate response, so to speak, and, we do not comment, their typical PR reply. Again, Sony didn't market this at all, right? I mean, we have to think about that, and then the fact that they always do when there's a deal, bottom line, right? This is the synopsis, they will always do that if there is a deal. There's been no PS5 code sent for review. This was first even reviewed on PC, if anything. So what's that tell you? It's absolute insanity here. But to wrap up this video, let's give you one more example. This is not in regards to Black Myth Wukong, but this is going to be the start of a new narrative going forward because the Xbox fanboys are indeed prepping themselves for the PS5 Pro. And here we have an example from Paris. But this isn't Paris necessarily, this is Gene Park, this weirdo. PS5 Pro is most likely happening this year, but what are you willing to spend to get one? Again, mine, real quick, is an example. I'm going to say $649 to $700. I think it will stick around the $6 to $649. Won't come with a disk drive. You will have to get the detachable disk drive. I don't believe there will be two models, so that'll be up to you. If you want to spend that $70, $80 to get that disk drive, which is something that I would do, but again, it's up to you. You're not forced to get a Pro, by the way, either. But here we go. Gene Park. It's tough, man. At a certain price point, you might as well just upgrade to PC, right? Especially if the thing doesn't come with a disk drive. Because again, let's say, and I know this is going to generate a lot of buzz, I still don't get the performance if I was to buy out of a retail box a $700 PC. I'm not going to get the performance of a PS5 or a PS5 Pro. You can build yourself one, get used parts, do this, do that. There's a lot of caveats that you can do to make that work perhaps. But again, that's going to take a lot of effort rather than just going to a store and picking it up or going online a few clicks and purchasing you a PS5 or a PS5 Pro when that is released. So he's trying to usher in a new narrative here, Gene Park, of trying to state, well, you might as well just get a PC. No, you don't. Why? Again, now we have caveats of, are you willing to wait 1 to 2 years? And some of you are. I'm not one of them. Willing to wait 1 to 2 years for a first-party Sony exclusive like Spider-Man, The Last of Us, Horizon, God of War, list goes on and on and on, like I've stated before. I'm not willing to wait. There's a lot of benefits from console gaming. Plug and play, simple. It lasts 7 to 8 years before you feel the true need to upgrade. They have a lot of cross-generation games that will work for a few years after the new generation systems are released, typically. And with that being said, that should be the flat board, right? It really should, but here is just the beginning of the dam that's going to break for the damage control of why you shouldn't have a PlayStation 5 or a Pro, but nothing said about a Series X or S. Gene Park doesn't mention the new models of the Series X with the 2 TB in there with some speckled paint on there, and then a full-on white trash bin version of one, because that's kind of what it looks like, let's be honest. All things aside, even fanboyism aside, it just a box, a white box, nothing cool like you would see on a PC with a glass case and all the coolants and RGB and whatever you want to put together. But he mentions nothing like that. It's okay that Xbox is doing that. It makes sense. But a PS5 Pro that's going to get you some more power and stuff like that, actually, I don't know, man. You might as well upgrade to a PC. Dude. This dude is so whack out there. I don't see him a lot because he blocked me a long time ago. Haven't had any negative interaction with him beforehand, and obviously with him being an Xbox fanboy, he can say he's not, but he is. And he blocked me out of nowhere quite some time ago. So that's why you don't see a lot from there. I don't go digging through stuff. It just happened to come my way, so I thought it was great that, of course, the damage control has begun. But that being said, folks, let's wrap up the video here. A lot of craziness. A great example and theme today that a lot of salt is out there, right? And a lot of misinformation, and that's why I'm here with this channel. So thank you all so much for supporting me, watching the content, the subscribers. Everything is amazing. I appreciate that. That helps get the truth out. This channel grows, and that means we can keep the straight, right? We can keep everything straight as far as that misinformation line. That's what I like to do, and I'm glad you all enjoy that as well as see all the delusional weirdos out there like we see today, right? But of course, thank you again. We'll wrap it up. I know I just said that, but for real this time, every like and comment does help out this video and the algorithm. Plus, I love to hear from you all. Of course, if you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself. And of course, that being said, just remember, don't be a salty batch. And we'll see y'all next time on the next Xvault gaming video. And until then, take care.